Mahalo, everybody. I'm Josh Stone for Inside Maui, where we find those hard answers for the tough questions. We'll see you soon.
You are inside Maui. You're inside. You're on the inside. Inside Maui. Stay tuned.
Another key platform that you ran on was, quote, finding a balance between supporting a strong economy and preserving those qualities that make Maui County special. I think we just talked about that a bit.
Yeah.
When you say balance in this context, who or what does it apply to specifically? Is it, for example, a balance between developer and preservationist, a balance between local and tourist? You're talking about economy and preservation. So who specifically does this balance refer to?
Yes, to all of the above. All of the above. The balance is multifaceted balance. I am concerned in Maui County that we're seeing a growing attitude that the tourist is the enemy, for one. You can see it by some of the incidents that get reported in the paper. You see it on the roads as you're driving. But there's this resentment that seems to be growing. And I think it's because the local people or the residents that are here somehow feel that the tourists are so catered to that the local population is neglected. We have to turn that around, because our residents are what makes this place what it is. And also our residents depend on that tourist industry for their survival. The job, not just the direct service jobs, but why something is called an economic engine is because it drives everything else in the economy. So there's that, what they call a trickle-down effect. So if tourism is doing well, everybody's doing well. The businesses, the restaurants, the car rental companies, the gas stations, you name it, the schools. If we didn't have a population here, then we'd lose teachers. Schools would close down. You see this on the mainland happening, especially in parts of the Midwest, where economies have gone away, like the coal mines have closed down, or some other thing has gone away. People just leave, and then they get ghost towns. I mean, you go look at those old westerns. That's what happened after the gold mining stopped. They became ghost towns, and that's not a myth. That actually happened. So we just have to look at some of the history to find out what goes on in a society when their main economic driver goes away, and we don't need to go through that again. I think that diversifying our economy will help somewhat, but the balance about tourism and preservation, all that, they talk about the economy is based on the environment. The environment is our economy. If we don't have this green plain in the middle here in the Central Valley, if we don't have beaches and healthy reefs where people love to go snorkeling, if we don't preserve and protect those areas, we're going to be just like nothing special. People won't come here. And then that whole economy goes upside down. And I was here in the 60s. That's when I graduated from high school, it was in the early 60s, when the plantations were all downsizing for various reasons. Pineapple sugar, which was, pineapple was king, sugar was right there. We started losing workforce. There were no jobs here. The population was, 45,000? And now it's 120,000. I mean, I've seen what it was like. I couldn't get back here with a job because there weren't jobs in the later, mid-60s. And so I don't want to see that happen here. So we've all got to work on this thing together and kind of appreciate, where the balance is. And we want caring, focused development. We have to have growth. Those people that are, the no-growth proponents, they're living in the kind of a dream world. There's no such thing as no growth. Not in a community like this, unless everyone stops having kids and nobody else moves here. Then you can say we got no growth. But that doesn't happen. It's not the American way. You free travel, people free to live here. What we have to ensure, and why affordable housing is so important, is we have to assure that our local residents and our families and our workforce has the ability to live here. First of all, making a living wage. Secondly, that they can afford to live here. The biggest thing about affording to live here is housing. And it's probably on your list somewhere down there, too.
Of course, absolutely.
But no, that's why everything is tied into that. You know, whether we have technology programs and the R&T park is, you know, zooming right along, it's depressing to hear that there are young, bright people, PhDs now, just out of graduate school, that come here and work at the R&T park, and they're brilliant. They look like they're about 13 years old, but they're brilliant guys and gals. I met with them one time. But some of them leave because they can't afford it. They can't afford the rents, or they're in a house with 8 other people because they all pay a share to survive. That's not good for the society, because you can't live in those kind of close quarters. So we have a real responsibility to provide that workforce housing. That's what we've been harping on the last couple of years, and why that has to work, or we're in deep trouble.
You're moving right through my list. Right through. So anyway, you brought up affordable housing. We might as well go there. It's a huge issue on Maui, obviously.
Yes.
Huge issue everywhere in Hawaii. And you've been working on it a long time. You were chair of the planning committee, correct?
Yes,
And you were also the proponent for the workforce housing policy?
Well, we kind of all were. Danny Mateo was chair of the Housing and Human Services Committee last term. He took it on as, you know, his main goal for the term was to actually have a workforce housing policy codified, or a law. And it had been, you know, bumped around here and there over the years. And yeah, you know, it kind of was, okay, we'll improve this area a little or whatever. But this was a real sweeping, let's just tackle this 800-pound gorilla and let's make some little chipmunks or chimpanzees out of them instead of one. So he worked very, very hard. I was on that committee, so we all worked on it together. But it became the top-of-mind issue across the community. I mean, across the state.
Statewide, I'm sure.
I mean, when you talk about the planets aligning for the state of Hawaii, in affordable housing is a top priority of the governor, the legislature, and even the federal government. Renewable energy, again, it's a top priority for the governor, the state legislature, and the federal government, now for us. So everything is kind of like we're all realizing the importance of it, and now we have an opportunity, I think, to work together again. I mean, that sounds so old, work together. But it means that we do have to look at each other, what each other can bring to the table, and what the contribution is in order for us to achieve the goal we must achieve for our communities. We must achieve this affordable workforce housing, or we're losing our doctors, nurses. I mean, not all doctors are rich, by the way. They got 6-figure debts when they get out of medical school.
True.
But nurses and lab techs, those folks are not able to stay here. We're losing teachers, policemen, firemen, we can't find engineers in the county. We're short of engineers because they can't afford to live here. Now, they get paid well. They can't afford it. It's too high. So that's what the workforce housing is, to try to meet that, what they call the gap group. That's the working people that are essential to our community being healthy.
Aloha, I'm Josh Stone, and you're watching Inside Maui on MauiToday.tv.